But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. It is the three amigos, it is Friday night, and it's a big welcome to my mates Steve Hasty, Mitch, and Keith Patterson. How are you doing, lads? You okay?
Great.
All good, mate.
Never been better.
Good to see you, and good to see all the lads and lasses in the chat. Plenty to talk about. In fact, we could probably do 4 hours tonight, I think, with everything we've got to talk about. First things first, though, as you all know, I've had a bit of a bad week. My mum finally passed away, succumbed to cancer last Saturday. And what we want to do is tonight raise as much money as we can for St. Bede's Hospice, which, of course, is based, it's a palliative care unit, which is based in the QE Hospital. I have just put the Just Given link up in the chat. I'm going to pin it to the top. Unfortunately, when you donate to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital on Just Given, it doesn't go to the palliative care, and that's who looks after people who have passed away with cancer, and that's where they go, and it's separate funding. So we, when I say we, me and the family, are trying to raise as much as we can for them. They give comfort to me mum in our last hours, and that was something we'll be eternally grateful for. So if you can, please bid on that. Please put a £1 in, £20, £50, whatever you can. There's already a good little start in there, but please give as much as you can. We'd like to raise some money for them. As well as that, we also have an opportunity tonight to win an entry ticket, a VIP entry ticket, £120 ticket for the Barrack Suite. Now, the interesting thing is that was given to us by a viewer who tuned in last night. He approached Mitch on Twitter, a guy's called Kev, and he basically offered us the opportunity for a ticket. Now, you will be able to meet him. I've got the ticket online, an online copy of it, so you will have the ticket, which is fantastic. But you will have an opportunity to go and meet him. I'll pass on the mobile number to the person who has the winning bid. What I'm going to ask you to do is, if you look down at the bottom of the chat, you will see a $sign. And the $sign on this chat essentially gives us the opportunity, or gives you the opportunity to donate. Now, I will be able to get a running total of this from the chat in the back of YouTube now, something which I wish I'd known when me and Steve did this for the children in need a while back. So all I want you to do is put £1 in. All of this money is going to go to St. Bede's as well. Put £1 in. It'll be like a lottery. Donate £1 in the chat, and we will pick the winner at the end of the show, and you will be the person who goes. But thank you to Kev for donating the ticket for free. I will pass on the details to the winner, and we will give this money to St. Bede's. It'll top up what people are giving to the Just Giving page. So thanks very much. That is the end of that particular announcement. And wow, I mean, I planned the show in my head about how we're going to start, what we're going to do, what we're going to tackle first. And I am going to go with the contentious issue that is on social media, which is all about the leaked shirts. Now, we always get leaked shirts, lads. We always get it. We have it all the time. We'll get a leaked shirt at the end of the season. We'll get one halfway through the season. And the leaked shirt that's caused the biggest issue is this. Now, it's a white shirt with green on, which people can assume is Saudi national colours. It's also a lot of other countries' colours, it has to be said. But as usual, this has caused our Twitter feed to go into an absolute meltdown. And even Nigel Farage has got on his proverbial high horse and said, when you sell your soul, this is what happens. Wow. This is from a guy who sits in the English Channel in a boat trying to chase migrants back across the water, right? That is from somebody. How he's got the high moral ground, I don't know. A lot of people, including me, tuned in, put a tongue-in-cheek thing up today. Well, I wouldn't normally buy the away top, says tuned in. However, given the amount of venom aimed at us, I'll be getting one this season.
Exactly.
Is this, I'm going to say, Steve, is this one of the smartest moves by the people who leak shirts? Is it a smart move by the club? And, you know, has it really just shown the divisiveness, again, that exists within our fan base simply because of their politics? Far left or far right seem to be hammer and tongs on this. And it's all because of a shirt.
You know what, Steve? I don't think it's as manufactured as that. I think that I very much doubt for one moment that somebody said, "I tell you what, let's make a shirt, and let's have the shirt in the Saudi colours, and it'll cause loads of publicity." I don't think it went like that. I think it's just been a simple. This is the design. There, it's out. It's leaked out. It hasn't even got the sponsors' details on. For me, the badge looks tiny. It looks like a mock-up anyway, but that's probably another story for another day. But I doubt for one moment somebody thought, let's do this and cause an absolute furore on Twitter and on social media and have all the press suddenly becoming moral arbiters again, because it had all calmed down. And I was just gobsmacked. I mean, I didn't see this from all of these politicos, I'll call them, in the journalistic world when we were wearing Brazil shirts a couple of weeks ago. You know, we've got there's a country that held the World Cup, and there's a country that held the Olympic Games, but has death squads that fly around bumping people off who are living on the streets, you know, who are beggars and stuff like that. And politically, an absolute shambles of a country as well, you know. So I just find the whole thing, it's like, we said from the start, didn't we, Mitch, that if there was a stick that could hit us with, we would get hitten with it. And somebody yet again has picked up a stick and they're bashing it over their head for a simple white shirt with a green trim that we don't even know is the real kit anyway.
Yeah, Mitch, it's crazy. It really is crazy. This, I mean, it's just as it's some people in the fan base want to argue for the sake of arguing. And I mean, let's not forget, as this was pointed out on Twitter by Ian Simpson, we must have been terrible back in 1998 as well.
Yeah. Look, mate, I'm going to start by saying something I don't think I've ever said on here, but I'm going to say it right now. I told you so. And I've been talking about this for the last 2 years, that one of the moves they'd want to make early on would be to produce a second or a third strip in the Saudi national colours. Why? The biggest market they want to sell Newcastle United to first is their own market. And it's the best way to sell shirts there, and the best way to sell shirts in this region. And it's not about sports washing, it's about generating interest in Newcastle United at home before they start talking about selling shirts worldwide. And that's exactly the kind of move that we're going to make. We've talked about it for 2 years on this channel. And never have I said I told you so on here, but I did. Go back, listen to some of the shows, because we did. We've had this conversation. We knew this was coming. And I wish they'd gone whole hog and come out with 1 and 2 colours called Bone Saw Titanium and Blood Red. You might as well, because it would have got the same bloody reaction. Do you know, where's this going to stop? Or we're going to have reporters asking Eddie Howe how much toilet paper he uses when he has his morning shite. And then they can accuse him of global warming and killing turtles. I mean, where does it end? Where does this absolutely end? And caught in the middle of it, of course, is us, the fans. And yeah, we've got a fan base that's a powder keg and ready to turn on each other at the drop of a hat at the best of times. And of course it brings that out. And people know it brings that out. So they'll keep going. Hypocrites like Ollie Holt, who lapped up the boxing, was great for the boxing. Fabulous that. You know, this week you've had Greg Norman's comments. And he managed to make Phil Mickelson sound like Jeremy bloody Paxman. That's how bad Greg Norman's comments were. And yes, he's had stick for it, but not the level that we've had for a potential shirt that's white and green. And this is just, it's the tip of an iceberg. And what's going to happen is by doing this, they're actually going to help sort of a level of sports washing succeed. Because we eventually, as a fan base, will get immune to this and just think, oh, fuck off. Anything that's thrown at us, because that's what will happen in the end. we are prepared as a fan base to have deep and meaningful discussions about what ownership of our club through PIF means and carries. We're well aware of it. We don't need it rammed down our throats every 30 seconds and used to score points. Because some of the bitter little quotes from some of the other journalists are quite predictably appalling and just really embarrassing. We really are in a place now where I think the club should just do what the hell they like and damn the torpedoes, because they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't, and we're going to get caught in the middle of all of it. And it's making me switch off, which is awful. You're actually having the opposite effect of the conversation that you want to have. Because everybody knows I'm based in the region. I have probably have a very different aspect on it to a lot of people. But their own market's the one they want to target. 35 million people, 70% under the age of 35, driving, using sport and developing sport in the country for a number of different reasons. And it's not all about sports washing. It's about getting people involved in sport, because the diabetes rate in Saudi Arabia is outrageous. and they want to get people active and they want to get people involved. And some of these arguments are now, like I say, for me, making me switch off and just think, fuck off. I just don't want to read it. And that's wrong.
If you've been watching it, I know you're away, you're out and about today, so thanks for joining us anyway. But you've watched this, and I mean, we know what Twitter's like, mate. We've been through it all with the takeover. But Mitch makes a valid point there. Once again, without naming them, some very well-known journalists, making a lot of noise on this because they know it's going to get a reaction.
For me, I might be different to everybody on this, but I've been going to Newcastle since 1969. So I've supported them 51 years, and I've watched some horse shit at Newcastle, and I've watched some teams that didn't have a clue, and I've watched people, like getting ready for a pre-season and looking at people like Joselu and nothing the matter with the lad, Chef Chikuchi and all these people, and having to get yourself motivated to go and watch Newcastle play. And now we've got some backers who have got a mindset like us. And you can always question what somebody's motives or intentions are. But if Newcastle United have come up with a shirt that will unite all the cretins in the UK, in both the press and in football, to dislike a team that's not won a domestic trophy for 57 years and begrudge us. You talked about David Beckham coming on air saying that Man United fans, nobody's been through what they've been through. 20 league titles. I just hope I go through that torture. But as far as I'm concerned, that shirt, if it was intentionally done to be in white and green, to look like Saudi, to give some recognition for the money and commitment they've put in this club, then I say bring it on. And I say, I think there'll be a spooky Newcastle fan that yes, they can cause division in us, but at the end of the day, it's a football shirt. I mean, when I saw all those 3 shirts, I didn't wet my pants at the designs. And out of all of them, believe it or not, the one I thought was the best design was the white one, the white and green one. And I will buy it. And call us what you want. It will be water for ducks back. Call us what you want. Because if buying that shirt gives recognition to the people, it's going to take my misery away after 51 years. I'm saying you can shout all you want. If that winds the Mackhams up, I'll probably buy 2 and I'll probably send some of them a shirt. But I've got to say it, you just need to realise that this is about football. It's about football club. It's about region. And I don't want this to sound like a rant, but I tell you what, I've never been more pissed off listening to people and even watching some northeastern press go on there saying this is going to cause problems from who? Who's it going to cause problems for? It's going to cause problems from the Big Six, the cartel, the Mackhams, and people who wanted the Saudi deal. But Man United have had over 100 million in sponsorship from Saudi Arabia. Nothing said at all. Some of the deals, people showing strips from Russia that's being put online today. And all it is if this is what it takes, is this what Newcastle has done to try and tap into a marketplace where somebody said to me, if you sell 2 million shirts, you'll get 150 million in revenue. I don't know whether them numbers are right. It came from Al Walid. But if it's them kind of numbers, then it's a no-brainer. Because all I want to see is better football. All I want to see is better players. I want to see more progress, more success. I want to see the region regenerated. I want to see the hotels do more business. I want to see pubs and bars around the town do better. And whatever it takes. I mean, why would you ask somebody to put £1 billion investment into a football club and then not give them some recognition on sponsorship? Sponsorship is an opportunity. That's all sponsorship it is. It's an opportunity to say that price to do that. If you want to sponsor the ground, it's X. If you want to sponsor the shirts, it's Y. And if you want to do it, then you've got to get something out of it. And this club, or whoever does it, they've spent 300 million on Newcastle. And they're buying players we never dreamt of. So why shouldn't they advertise? And why should people be so small-minded to say that they can't put this colour or that colour is? You need to get a life, you need to grow up, and you need to realise 99% of the Newcastle fans who are there to watch the football and watch the region flourish will be pleased with whatever colour they turn out in. Seriously, the only colour I'd object to Newcastle turn out is red and white stripes. That's the only colour I would object to for obvious reasons. But for anybody to kick off the way of this, I've got to say it's pathetic. You need to get a life. Farage, you need to go and bury your head up your backside because you're talking out your shit end, son.
I wish you could have said that to his face, mate. I really do. But anyway, this is what happens on Twitter. It is absolutely bonkers today. It really has gone mad. Right? Okay, that's enough of that. We've talked about the top. We'll let the Twitter trolls and everybody carry on doing what they do on there. But we'll move on.
I wonder what colour the shorts are.
What's that? Sorry.
I wonder what colour the shorts are.
Oh dear me! Don't start with that. That was another one of them as well there. But look, let's wait and see. As we always say, wait until someone's wearing it on St James's Park, and then we can all make a decision. But we had to cover it tonight for obvious reasons. Okay, this one is aimed at us, lads. Apparently, Mr. Fennick, who watches the show, and he is a big fan, so thank you very much for that. He says, you and the guys are instrumental in turning public opinion against ASM.
Oh, God.
Look at his stats compared to other NUFC greats. They compare more than favourably, particularly as he's played in a crap team for a crap manager most of the time. Now, he's not the only person who said that, and I put that up, not for him to be attacked and trolled, just because he's got an opinion. And there are two sides, Steve Hasty, to this ASM argument. There are those who love him and think he's the best thing since sliced bread or the best thing since granola. And there's people like us who can see him for what he is. We've been there, done it, got the T-shirt as fans. We're all over, a certain vintage. And we can see that this guy really isn't up to scratch, in our opinion. But we're all entitled to our opinion. I didn't particularly think we had as much power as maybe some of the other sports commentators, however. So I'd like to thank you, Mr. Fennick, for thinking that we do, but we certainly don't. And again, I think it's maybe Twitter that this maybe is the reason it looks as if we've got more of a sway. But I think the jury's out. I still think it's 50-50, Steve. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the ASM.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we criticised the ASM at Christmas time when and previously when he's gone off, and we know what he's been up to. We know where he's gone to. We know how he's lived his life in terms of flying off to France when he's had an injury, not coming back in time, taking a fortnight off, and we pick up all of these stories, and we ran with them because we knew the facts. It's as simple as that. Nobody in that Newcastle team gets me out of a seat like it when ASM's got the ball and he's running at somebody and you think you're going to get someone. Nobody gets us back on my backside as quick when it all turns to nothing. And it happens regular. And I've always been an admirer of flair players. I sat in the East Stand for years among people who moaned and groaned about Robert. I went into the bars afterwards where people were moaning and groaning about them. And I was trying to defend them and back up what I thought I was seeing. I've done exactly the same with other players over the years, players that are now Ginola at times when his head dropped, but these were exciting players, but nearly every single one of them had an end product. Robert had an end product. He was the scorer of brilliant goals. Ginola had an end product. He was a scorer of brilliant goals in big games. what we've got with ESM is a man who has every trick in the book and has the ability to turn into a very, very good footballer. But I'm not seeing, since Christmas, any end product. I'm not seeing the goals. I'm not seeing the assists that he keeps saying that he can get. And I'm seeing a man who is more frustrating to me when he plays and his body language and when things aren't going well, as opposed to someone who is constantly trying to big up his team, big up his teammates, and getting stuck in. And that's where the criticism comes from my perspective. But whether or not I've been part of some sort of conspiracy to gang up on him, no. I think, if anything, it might be rather a bit like the Joe Linton situation. I think it's a bit of an age thing. I think there's people out there that they just see on FIFA 22 or Football Manager or whatever that, and they can, on all the video games, they can see stuff, and they go onto YouTube and they watch the 5-minute little clips of players doing all sorts of exciting things, and they get carried away and they think that player can do that for 90 minutes. And he's doing it for 90 minutes, but he's not. He's not doing it for 90 minutes. And I don't think he's worthy of the shirt at times. But every time his name is chosen and he's on the team sheet, I'm thinking, this is the game. This is the one. This is where we're going to see the real him. And then when he gets hauled off after 80 minutes, or whether he limps around because someone's given him a kicking and he feels as though he's got to perform and convince us all that he's getting kicked and he's injured, or whether he trundles away at 90th minute and doesn't even acknowledge the crowd. That's what you get with him. And yeah, I'll take the blame. I'll take it. You know, if people think that we're being party to it, but quite frankly, it couldn't be further from the truth. When he wears a black and white shirt, I want to see him succeed. We all want to see him succeed, and I'm sure that's the case with the rest of the lads as well. But the frustration, dear me, it's getting to the point where we know that he's not going to succeed because we can see with our own eyes.
So, Keith, with a combined age probably of around about 200 between, we're now known as social media influencers.
Well, I mean, I'm a huge ESM fan. I have his name on the back of my shirt, and I couldn't like him more. Steve says when he's got the ball, he's going at people. But some people said to me, you need to harbour your support for him. Some people said to me, they said, you need, because I've had arguments where I said, I think in a even better side, he'll be even better. And that's what I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to see him in a better side to see how good he is and what level he can get to. And I don't want to see him leave Newcastle and go to somebody else and do it in the club. So I am a fan of ESM. However, Steve Hastie's rightly pointed out that as quick as he can make you stand up, he can make you sit down. And the only thing I fear, and I've been told to calm down my exuberance about him, is where, like last week, where he lost his man and somebody run in and got a header unmarked, and that people said to me, look at how much pressure was put on Target last week. He was getting ripped to shreds because he was getting no help down that side. So for me, I want to see how build up a great team, and I'm looking forward to the signings in the summer. And sometimes you can't have a great team if everybody's not doing their bit. And so that's what I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting, the jury's out for me. But if we influence Steve, then, to be honest, it's a bit like all the other subjects. There's a group of people who will say the opposite to what we say just for the hell of it. And I don't think we influencers. I think we just football fans who are mad keen on Newcastle and have suffered a lot of horseshit in the past. And I think we excited about what lies ahead. But if by giving your opinion, so if Steve Wraith says to Mitch, what's your thoughts on ASM? Now Mitch is honest, he's going to just answer honestly. If he said to George Mitchell, he'd do the same. But then to get criticised means that the person who criticising you thinks their view's right, because they've obviously got a different view to Steve Hastie. So they think everything Steve says is wrong and everything they say is right. It's not the case. It's a case of we all love watching ASM and we want him to do well, but people are asking questions of whether he is going to be in a big side the big player, and we all hope he is, but time will tell. You know, I don't think anybody can judge the ESM argument till all the players are done, till the clear out's done, and we see where he copes. But there's one thing certain: if he's one of the best 11, Eddie Howe will play him. If he's not, he won't.
Yeah. Okay, Mitch. We've been, round the houses with this one. If it's not ESM, it's Chris Wood who's getting it in the neck. But ESM back on the agenda. Just your thoughts on that. I mean,
Well,
the irony, we mentioned it on Wednesday's show. The irony was that ESM put in a pitch of a cross. Chris Wood was on the end of it and headed it
absolutely
at the goalkeeper. So.
Absolutely, but I mean, I've hinted it on here, I think last week even. The challenge I have with ESM is because I'm aware of certain incidents where the club have effectively covered his arse, and covered his arse big time, I think, on at least 3 occasions. And so, I mean, I'm aware of stuff he's done with and without the permission of the club, for example. And I think if some of that got out, I think there would probably be, quite rightly, some upset about it. And that's my challenge with him, is I can't, when he starts throwing strops and attitudes around, and when he looks like he's doing it on the pitch as well, I get frustrated with him, because I think, you know what, the club's covered your arse, they could have hung you out to dry. And they really could have, on one particular occasion, they could have just absolutely nailed him to the wall and left him there. And so I see somebody who isn't giving off the body language and isn't giving off the same level of willingness and gratitude that the club and the fans put into him. I've said here many times, I love flair players too. We all do. And you've got to get to a point with them where you've got to accept or find a way to play with their limitations, like the lack of tracking back that Keith mentioned just before. I still think that's why we've had a period where he's been played up front effectively as a central striker. I think that's Eddie Howe trying to see, well, how can we get the best out of this individual and make him do more, and account for the fact that he's not necessarily going to be the best person to have on the edge of the 18-yard box when we're defending. You know, if you remember that penalty he gave away against Brighton when he did track back, you don't want to make challenges like that in the area, to be fair. So find a way to leave him up the pitch. That I'm totally okay with. You can find ways to play, accepting the player's limitations as well as the brilliant things he can bring. But there's something in the attitude. There's something in the way he's conducting himself. There's something in the way he's very heavily invested in his social media team since the Helios thing grew and then turned into an NFT and all of that. That's where his focus seems to be. He's been pulled up now by the FA for wearing a branded headband. About 10 days after he was making things on his Instagram about a headband brand that he looks like he's bringing out himself. And so, learn your lessons, kiddo. Because how many times are you going to do this? Because, like I say, there's at least one occasion the club could have absolutely hung him out to dry, and they didn't. They covered his ass for him. And I'd like to see a bit more, or to feel a bit more, that he cares as much as everybody else does, because he doesn't give that off for me. And for me as well, since the turn of the year, he's been a very different player to the one that started the season.
Okay, great stuff. We're just after 7 o'clock, slightly later programme tonight, but I know that suits most of you anyway. We did have a guest on a few months back, Davy Craig, a big Newcastle fan, obviously good friend of the show as well, was on Zara's wonderful film. And Davy, welcome to you, mate. Just give you 5 minutes to give a plug to a project that you're setting up again.
Hello, yeah, cheers, lads. Good to see you all. Yeah, as some of you may know, I spoke to you about it first, Steve, at the Leeds match, where I had an idea of doing a song and decided to call it "We Are the Geordies," kind of after the movie and whatever, And I started getting that up and running, and I had quite a few people getting involved and what have you. But then, with a mixture of technical difficulties, my computer knackered basically in layman's terms, and my health wasn't great for a few months. I kind of put a hold on it, but I'm getting it started back up again, and coming towards the end of the season, I think this is the time to try and get people involved. Now, the idea is I've written this song, but I want people to sing on the chorus. So I've got a designated email address that I want people to basically send me a message to that address, and I'll send the chorus, or you can find it on YouTube. I don't know if you've got the link there, Steve.
Don't have the link, but if you can send us it, we'll give it a bit of a plug. Maybe send us on Twitter when you come off, and I'll plug it before the end of the show, mate.
I will do. But yeah, that's great. So basically, my email address is Davy, DAVYWATG @gmail.com. So it's Davy, we are the Geordies @gmail.com. And the idea is I send the chorus, or you can see it on YouTube, and you listen to it with your headphones, and you sing along, record yourself, and then I'll put you in the song. So I want a crowd of people. I mean, the dream is to have 52,000 people singing, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But the more the merrier, basically. I want to be busy with it. I want people to send it. I'm not after singers. You know, I mean, we don't sing when we're at the match. We do. We just chant and we join. That's what I want. I just want people pretending that they're at the match and doing something. And 100% of the profits of this will go to NUFC Fans Food Bank, which is the reason why I'm doing it in the first place. So
brilliant.
Hopefully it'll get played. You know, maybe it might even get played at the ground. But the way I see it is, imagine you've got an opportunity to be involved with a song where you can be a part of it and hear it hopefully played at the ground before a match. And I think that's, and obviously, you know, helping towards the food bank. And I think that's it's like a bit of a legacy, isn't it? You know, for people can actually say, look, oh, there's that song I'm singing on this, you know. So I just want people to get involved, basically. That's it. It's just pure and simple, yeah.
Great stuff, mate. But Davey, we will support it and we'll give it a push again. If you can just do us a favour, email us the details again or send them on Twitter, and you know, keep us updated on the progress. We'll get you back on. But I'll get the next week out of the way for me, which is going to be quite a tough one.
Yeah.
And once I've got that out of the way, I will give it a push for you on social media, mate. Okay.
No bother. All the best.
Brilliant.
Cheers,
take care,
lads.
Davey. Keep an eye on it. It's a project well worth watching, and yeah, we'll give it as much support as we can on this platform. Okay, as always, we have plenty to get through on the Three Amigos show, and here comes the day I met. The day I met, where we ask you to send in photographs of yourself with Newcastle players, management, or former Newcastle players and management. And this one is a modern day twist from Daryl. He says, I've seen and spoken to some of the NUFC players before their flight to Manchester. Matty was over the moon, but gutted he didn't get to have a photo with St Maximin and Trippier. Everyone was so friendly and approachable, especially the gaffer. I love this club so much. And Dazzle Razzle, this is a fine selection of photographs. Virtually the full squad, mate. Well done, that man. Obviously, just down the bottom there, we see Callum Wilson, and we've got Bruno, we've got Matt Target, we've got Joe Linton, Eddie Howe, and on this photograph, we've got the rest of the squad, more or less. We've got Jamal Lascelles, you've got Sean Longstaff. It's just a great set of photographs for any young fan, essentially, to have, and that is proper dream come true stuff for any supporter. I feel a bit sorry for him that he didn't get his photographs with Trippier, of course, you know, but maybe one day that will happen. And I know one or two of the players do watch the show, especially Friday night show. So maybe the next time you see him outside the training ground, make sure you stop and give that lad those photographs that he's missing. But it's always good to see young fans get involved and get the opportunity to meet their heroes. And to be honest, you know, that's what it's all about. That is the DMF. It's a fair time since we're on at these. Let's go All Black. Sounds good, says Bill Burnett. He's talking about the strip, but he did also put this. Can we have the new song instead of that dreadful music? Oh man, we've been through this before. We had a vote, and that is definitely staying as the music. I'm afraid.
If we'd gone All Black, somebody would find something to gripe about if it was All Black?
Of course,
I know what would come, and I'm not going to say it, but I know where people would be coming from if it was All Black with a little white badge or a little white signature.
Oh, well, you can't win with a strip colour, mate. You cannot win with a strip colour. Not in a million years. But yes, we're keeping that music, I'm afraid, Bill. Sorry, just put your fingers in your ears when it comes on. Okay, next point of action is this one. Ian Hull raised this topic on Twitter when lunacy's taken over and common sense has now left the building. And this was an article in the Mail Online, and it's basically Mark Clattenburg who's suggesting that football, Steve, should introduce 60-minute matches with a stop clock. Discuss.
It's interesting because if I remember in the article, I read the article, and I think what Mark was getting at was that on average, the ball's only in play for about 50-odd minutes in a 90-minute game. When he added together, I think he'd done some sort of obviously he's a referee himself, and he's he was one of probably the best referees that we've had over the last 20-odd years. But he did this research and found that on average, the ball's only in play for 50-odd minutes. And I think what he was getting at was to stop the time wasting, because let's face it, time wasting rarely gets held up by a referee. It's very, very, very rare. You see them doing that, but you never see them actually. I'm not being funny, but we've been one of the worst of it, especially our goalkeepers over the last 2 seasons. It seems to be a tactic that we use, but we're not the only ones, so we cannot really sort of just pin it all that on us as well. You know what? We're getting bad enough with the strips without having time wasting being blamed for as well. But what he's saying is, when the ball's in play, fine. When the ball goes out to play, the watch stops. And then it starts again when it's back in, whether it's a throw in, whether it's stopped for a free kick, whether it's stopped for a goal kick, a corner, an injury, and it all tots up. And then you have basically what he believes will be less opportunity or less need for players to start to time waste and that type of thing. So he might be onto something. But the headline looks like we're going to reduce the games to 60 minutes instead of 30, instead of 90. That's what it looks like, 30 minutes each way. And I think, again, this is an example of, you stick a headline up there and straight away people will hook onto it. And 99% of the comments that I saw about it were going, is he mental? We're just going to reduce the game to a 60-minute game, etc., etc. But I suppose what's going to happen now is the likes of you and I are going to sit there with a stopwatch at the match one day and see whether he's right. Does the game, is the ball only ever in play for about 50-odd minutes? It's great. It's great conversation piece. It's great debate. The only question I have, it becomes very American, doesn't it? It's very much like American football where they're stopping the clock. And is that the start of what some people would call the thin end of the wedge, because we know we're getting more and more American owners. We're getting more and more Americanified. The American owners that we've got in the league will suddenly turn around and be calling it franchises, and they'll be doing all sorts of things. And before you know it, if you did have some facility to stop the clock, they would stick advert breaks in the middle of it. That's where it probably would end up. And that's how it would have advantage taken over it, So, yes and no at the minute.
What's your take on this one then, Keith? 60-minute matches. I mean, 61 minutes somebody's put in the chat a few years ago. That's how much the ball was in. But what's your feel on it?
Leave it exactly as it is. Just leave it.
Yeah.
No, is it like I'd rather see Newcastle win the league with 90 minutes and worry about that later. Honestly, people, I think the VAR thing, I think technology, I think I'm more fearful of is you look how many Americans are buying into the game, is how it goes Americanized and becomes more like American football. I'd be more worried if they start introducing like timeouts and things like that. That's what worries me, that they change football as we know it. So to me, it might be a good idea. Steve's put a good argument up for that referee, but for me, just leave it. I haven't got the energy to even think about it, to be fair.
No, I mean, it's, Alistair says he likes the idea, Mitch. He says, I like the idea of a 60-minute match. He says, one of the problems is you won't be able to plan the travel back from away games. I mean, should we just leave it as it is? We're changing enough things, don't we?
Do you not remember we've been beat with this stick already this season? Somebody did an article about Eddie Howe and Newcastle having one of the lowest ball and play times. And they were using it as some reason why we were getting out of relegation, and it wasn't fair. So we've already been hit with this stick this season. It's just a joke. And yeah, if you look at ball and play times, Steve's absolutely right. It's somewhere between 51 and 57 minutes is the average range. And it's a way to combat time wasting, I guess, and certain things like that. But as Keith says, are we going towards an Americanization of the game? Will that then become 4 quarters of 15 minutes instead of 2 halves of 30? Because all these breaks that they introduce into various games, and I was talking to Steve Bennett about that the night where we were chewing the fat before I came home to do the show, where we were watching the Indian Premier League cricket, and they called it a strategic batting timeout, which just basically is an advertising opportunity. And if we want to see that kind of thing creeping into the game, it's going to piss a lot of people off. I get the concept of taking it that if the average ball and play time is under 60 minutes, making it 60 minutes with a stop clock will actually give you more football, technically. But it's maybe a change too far at the moment. It gets to the point where we've got so many things. I mean, VAR was hustled into the World Cup because that was an advertising opportunity to make it a Budweiser VAR break. And so we know where these things go, and we know how they're going to do what they're going to do to monetize them all. So it becomes again, it's a further complication. And the beauty of football is that whether you're in the Premier League or whether you're kicking the ball around on St Peter's Field in Wall's End, there's a bloke in the middle timing it, and it relies on him, and it's the same. And then it becomes a very different thing once you need an independent timer. And how does that work in lower leagues, and how does that work in non-league? Or is that something that's just for the top flight, and then we're creating another barrier and an inch towards something like the Super League and with more American influences? And so I think the more you allow to creep in like that, the more opportunity there is for that to become elitist and separatist. And that can't happen.
I won the league on St Peter's pitch, by the way, mate. Newcastle Central Sunday afternoon league. Last kick of the game, we beat Santos 3-2, and if we'd drawn, we would have finished second, but we won with the last kick of the game. Good old Mark Little, loved the goalkeeper. And it was I got an assist. So yeah, happy memories. Thanks for that, mate. Obviously, we've got a lot to get through today. Because we put the show back an hour to get Steve on. Steve was working. Mitch, it's late for Mitch. We're only going to do an hour and a half tonight.
Okay, over.
As long as you're all right, Mitch. As long as you're all right.
I'm all right to go on, man. Jesus, the Lonely Lads had us up till nearly 2 a.m. the other night.
Well, there we go then. There we go. Okay, so we're going to then, in that case, we'll split Julie Baker's favourite part of the show, because most of you who tuned in last week will realise that I actually missed Julie's favourite music. So, part 1 is... Yep, troll of the week. Been a couple this week. First one is this. B. Fitzpatrick. Baldy Tory. Back to basics, son. Back to basics.
That's sexual harassment.
Yeah, Well, yes. Now, this is very true, Keith, because in the news this week, it is sexual harassment to call anyone baldy. So maybe I should unblock him and take him to court. But he is the first troll of the week. Yep, I'll have another one towards the end of the show, just as a way of an apology to Julie. And I'm keep them coming. People do now tend to tag me in them if I haven't already seen them, and I do enjoy watching them. Now, John from QTech is not in the chat tonight. He is out at a Newcastle United related talking somewhere in Newcastle. But as you know, he always does his 4 weekly quiz questions, and you have to get the answers, and then you have to get the question right at the end. Steve Hasty is eagerly awaiting, eyes peeled, glasses on, and he's ready to see who gets the correct answer and who wins the Alan Shearer prize, which was the box with a cup in, signed by Alan Shearer from the 260 dinner. I think there's a cup in there and maybe a T-shirt, if I'm right, Steve. Okay, so the clue 1 that you were given 4 weeks ago was 30th of August, 1951. Your second clue was 76 appearances, 25 goals. Your third clue was height, 1.88 meters. And tonight's question is, the player suggested in the previous clues scored the winning goal in the 1982 European Cup final. Who am I? So the player suggested in the previous clues scored the winning goal in the 1982 European Cup final. Who am I? First person in the chat, and this is Steve's decision with the correct answer, will be the winner of that nice little box of signed Shearer goodies, and we'll get Steve to announce that in about 10 minutes time. And don't forget, there is a link if you've tuned in late at the top of the chat on YouTube, and that is for a Just Giving page. My mother passed away on Saturday gone, and we are just trying to raise some money for the St Bede's unit at the QE in Gateshead. It's a palliative care unit. Thank you so much. My brother who set it up for a target of £200. We've now surpassed that. It's now £311. In fact, that's gone up now to 326. So thank you for that. But the link is pinned at the top of the chat. Please just have a look for that and make a small donation. If you can't do it that way, then if you look at the little dollar sign underneath, which is on the YouTube chat, you can make a donation that way, and that enters you into the draw for the ticket for Monday's game against Arsenal. It is a ticket for the Barracks. It includes food, and there's a guest speaker in there as well, which I believe is Steve Howie. So you will be able to go in, you'll have a seat, you'll meet the person, Kev, who watches the show, who's kindly donated this prize. I'll pass on the number to you. You go and meet him. I've got the ticket, which I can email you. Just want to thank Kev massively for donating that. And we will add that to the prize. And YouTube, when you make a donation, actually takes 30% off. What I'm going to do is, obviously, I'm not going to take anything off the money that's donated. I will donate the total of whatever's been donated in the chat tonight straight onto that Just Giving page as well to give it a bit of a boost. So thanks everybody tonight. Just give it as much as you can. Thanks for helping such a wonderful cause, and it does mean a lot. It's been a tough week, as I say, and all your messages of support on Twitter, all of your messages of support via Instagram and other social media, it hasn't gone unnoticed. I couldn't reply to everybody, but thank you so much, and that has helped me massively this week. The support of my brother, of course, we're in this together, was equally good. But thank you everybody for your kind words and support, and it's helped a lot. Don't forget, we've got some great sponsors on this show. Thank you to Spider Miner, worldwide coverage from the guys. The only cryptocurrency miner that can get 5 different cryptocurrencies at the same time whilst using virtually no energy. And it's VPN protected. Buy yours now at www.miner.spidervpn.org. Thanks also to the lads at skipsandbins.com, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website www.skipsandbins.com, easy contract free and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks also to L&G Family Funeral Directors, 01913897245, and to Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD hemp and cannabinoid specialists, www.gohd.com. Thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle, and the guys who run our website, NUFCmatters.com. And thanks to ClearKai, meet the new Game Over screen, drop into a ClearRun device near you, and that is available at Apple Store, Google Play, and ClearRun.game. Thanks to Media Arts, Neil, great guy over there who sorts all of our video content out. And if you want to subscribe, as 423 people have this month, then hit the Newcastle Legends logo in the bottom right-hand corner, and you can subscribe for free. We still do 7 shows a week. Hit the thumb up to like the video, click share to your social media, and drop into the comments box to speak to like-minded Newcastle fans. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, and the rest. If you want to become a cult member, well, you'll get a cup, you'll get a pen, you'll get a scarf, and you'll get a membership card, and entry into the monthly draw. Simply put your smartphone over the QR code, and it takes you straight to the website membership pack part of the site. If not, just go to NUFCmatters.com and look for membership. And if you are a subscriber, well, you can get a free car sticker, but you've got to email John at the website, NUFCmatters.com, to get that. Me and Supermac will be at the Dog and Parrot for the final time, pre-match and after-match this season. 6 o'clock start for me and Supermac on Monday, and round about 10:30 for the after-show final part of the season party. So get yourself along to Dog and Parrot. Kids are welcome pre-match. Plenty good beers, plenty food, and plenty good crack. Don't forget, we support the food bank on this channel as well. NUFC fans, foodbank.co.uk is the website you go to make a virtual donation. And don't forget, the lads and lasses, including Steve Hasty, will be outside Shearer's Bar on the other side of the road where the food bank is set up. If you've got anything you want to take, that is the place to take it. If you just want to make a donation in cash, that is the place to go and see the guys and girls. We've also got an end of season due. NUFC Matters presents Mick Lowes and Andy Griffin at Shearer's Bar, Friday the 24th of June. Doors are at 7 o'clock. Tickets are £12. Get yourself along. That will be an absolutely cracking night. And we're also doing the Shearer Ball still on sale. Vince Smith won last week's. Tickets are only 99 tickets. Tickets are $2.99. NUFCmatters.com if you want to enter that to win a signed Alan Shearer Ball from the 260 dinner. We've also got the Food Bank t-shirt up for grabs on my Twitter at Steve Wraith. So if you want to bid on that for the Food Bank, all proceeds go to the Food Bank. You've got about an hour to get that done, and that wraps up the advert. So from our point of view, lads, let's go to the questions in the chat, and we've had quite a few come in. So let's go with a simple one, Steve. NUFC TV says, should Eddie Howe win Manager of the Season? He's been nominated, Steve, which is great. Should he win it?
He should win it, yeah. He won't win it because I think, unlike Pardew when he won it, because Pardew did very well to get us into 5th, and I think what Eddie's done is more remarkable than that, bearing in mind where we were, rock bottom of the league, and he's dragged us up from the bottom. The run that we went on, phenomenal, and certainly warrants being in among the 5 nominations. But I suspect it's going to go to either Klopp or it's going to go to Guardiola. But in terms of where we've come from and where he's got us to in such a short period of time, I think absolutely amazing. And if I had a vote, then I would certainly be voting for Eddie Howe as Manager of the Year.
Okay, Keith, Eddie Howe, Manager of the Year.
The rest of football, I'll say, if he's got us into 10th place, he shouldn't get it. But if you work out that he's the first manager to take over a club that's lost the first 14 games and got them safe with 2 games to go, then I think he should win it. When you look at the other people who could get it, Liverpool won't win the league, and Man City crashed out of Champions League with some suspect decisions. You know what I mean? I think Guardiola lost them with what he did at the end. So whilst the obvious thing is to give it to them, I think he should get it to Howe. However, as Steve Hasty points out, he's been here before. He's not going to get it. There's nothing so certain. I think Farage will get it before Eddie Howe.
Mitch.
Well, he's done something remarkable and exceptional. And that should be recognised in some way, shape or form. But it won't be, because the narrative has been turned against him because of all the money he spent in January. And that, again, is another stick that's been used to beat us with unfairly. What the turnaround Eddie Howe made in that team, in that squad, when you look at who's been available when, and Bruno didn't start the first 5 or 6 he was available for. Trippier's been missing for most of the games. But because you spent blood money in January, you won't get it. The Premier League will be too frightened to do it. Even though what they should be recognising is something absolutely exceptional in the league. Never been done before. That should be awarded, and it won't be.
Yeah, it's a good point. Good question as well. I personally don't think he'll get it. I think it's just, you know, it's a token gesture to give him it. But I agree 100% with what you say, Mitch. I think that would be the reasoning behind it. I love David Cook's comment about the strips, by the way. Gary, based on Delaney's theorem, we must have been owned by Holland when we had the orange strip. Tim Cairns is being nosy, Keith. He says, whereabouts is Keith going or been?
Ipswich.
There you go. Driven down there to look at the Bobby Robson statue.
Oh, he's at the quietest dogging site in Ipswich.
That's what somebody said. Somebody said that in the chat.
Did they?
Yeah.
I've had no activity.
No activity, exactly. We'll leave it at that. Blue Rhythm Boy, Steve. Blue Rhythm Boys. I hope you're not in one of them bloody dodgy lanes. Blue Rhythm Boys says, Score Draw not making retro shirts anymore. Did Ashley make the rights exclusive to Custodian? Now, what was the script behind this, Steve? It's something I meant to talk about on the show a while back. They've been stopped, haven't they? Because I remember going in to see Mick at the back page shop on St Andrew Street, and they can't sell them anymore, can they?
No, I think the club took ownership of the badge back. Now, whether or not it's the club, and bearing in mind we've seen a few instances lately where the lawyers have clamped down on people putting stuff together and selling stuff with the club badge on, or anything related to something that's copyrighted to the club. 1892 was copyrighted. The word Toon Army, I think, was copyrighted at one point under the Shepherd regime. And I think what's happened is, I think that the lawyers that have involved with the club have just taken ownership again. I think Ashley just let it go. He wasn't bothered, because let's face it, a lot of the stuff that he was selling, and he had a reputation for stacking it high and selling it cheap, and he probably wasn't bothered because he didn't think he'd make any money out of it, because nobody would buy the stuff if he was producing it anyway. But I think it's just been a tightening up of the rules, a tightening up of what's been going on.
It's not just Score Draw, though. Didn't Toffs reach out to us? Somebody at Toffs reached out to us earlier this season saying that their license is up for renewal, and they didn't know who they were speaking to at the club, and then nobody had contacted them either. So I suspect it's more likely related to that there's somebody somewhere within the club hasn't picked up that thread, and nobody's taken ownership of what to do about this.
I do know that back in the day, during the Ashley regime, if you went to them and you had an idea and you wanted something and you wanted to put the club logo on, and then you got into the licensing conversation, it was invariably a case of how much. Well, I tell you what, let's see how it goes, and then we'll get back to you. So they would you test the water, see how successful you were going to be, and then they'd come in and slap you with a bill and go, you've sold X number of these or Y number of them. You told us it was a startup, and now it's going quite successfully. So we want X percentage, and that's the way it was. Now I think this way around, it's probably a bit more professional. It's come to us and we'll discuss it, because they've probably realised there's a value to the club badge. There's a value to all of the other things, because let's face it, they bought it all. It was all part of the package. I would suspect it's all part of the package to do with the takeover, So you got the whole lock, stock and barrel. You bought all of the little companies that remember Ashley had, and there were dozens and dozens of companies under the
14, if I remember.
Exactly. So some of those were linked to companies that never traded. He covered every base just in case, if you want, know what I mean. He had NUFC TV, he had TV broadcast, all those things, but he never ever put them into place. And I think this is just a case of, right, well, you've got a new set of lawyers, you've got lawyers working for the club, and somebody's been given the job of policing the whole thing, and they've just gone, well, hang on, what like for Toffs or whomever, right? What was the agreement you had? If it was a nod and a wink, then it needs to be something more substantial than that, because there's a value to the emblem. So it could be that. It could be that.
Yeah, it's another avenue to chase down, really, isn't it, Keith? But I mean, again, there's been things a lot more important that the new owners have had to do, and they had to secure a manager and secure good players to keep us up, and they've done that. So I think a lot of these things behind the scenes, whether it's new strips, new sponsors, new people in at the top end of the club, and of course new players, all of this is going to get addressed in the summer, you would imagine. It's going to be busy at St James's Park once the final ball is kicked against Burnley.
If you talk to like Mickey Edmondson he's got shops in Newcastle and in the Metro Centre, back page, and he says it's dramatically changed. Once over, you could sell stuff with logos on, and now he says he just can't go near it. And he says, like, just the stock, the people he used to get the stuff off, they've all been stopped from selling it. So he said his supply and his ability to sell club branded stuff is diminishing by the week. But if you went to the new owners and you said, we want you to come here and want you to take 4 jobs on, the first job you'd say is arrest the relegation. Second job would be get a good manager, good players, good coach. Third job, would you be looking at the club logo? I think you'd be trying to get a nice white and green shirt to wind the rest of football up before you'd look at that.
Good stuff. As always, short and concise and to the point, but very honest. And I've got to agree with you, mate. I think you're right. Okay, time for Tweet of the Week. Been planning to get our teeth into this week, including this burger that Leslie sent us. He says, in Sunderland for a training day. He says, I went down to a burger van for me dinner. He says, this is what I got. He says, I thought to myself, where's the bun? Bit strange considering everything else in Sunderland is in bread.
Kitching.
Well, I haven't even come to look like these yet. That was good.
Oh, Jesus.
This was fantastic from Evermore Newcastle United podcast. He says, I wonder if Matt Target does an interview after the game saying, when I play with left winger so you can track back and support me, then I'll have 10 or 15 clean sheets a season. That was, of course, in response to ASM's interview that wasn't an interview. And this one from 100% Mags, he says, with news of the revamp at Darcy Park, I'd just like to point out to them doing the road at Sunderland, there's 2 hydrotherapy pools from a previous owner, free to collect at Darcy Park in near perfection condition. Just ask for Amanda. And then that wonderful use of that photograph outside our training facility, the bloody paddling pool. Which is very good, mate. Very good. I did like that. This one was good as well from Ian Hull. He says, loving the new gravy boat that I found at my granddad's house. I hope you watched it, mate. I hope you watched it. Roker report. Never want to not allow us to have a laugh. There's not a club in the world who has a fan base as good as ours. Wow, deluded. They call us deluded. But all the best against Wickham. We'll see what happens there. Rocky Toon says, with all the players we're linked with, could this happen? Premier League table 24-25. First, Newcastle 96 points. Second, Newcastle's B side 94 points. Third, Newcastle's C side 90 points. And then fourth and fifth, them other clubs, what they're called, Man City and Liverpool. Never say never, mate. Never say never. It took us long enough in one of Keith's letters to get one team in, never mind getting three in. Dear God. This one, just pointing out what Keith mentioned earlier from our good pal Albert. He says, "Will the trolls have to call you a follically challenged bastard now, Steve?" I think they probably will, mate. I think they probably will. I think you're right. Moxie Maggie says, "When the company car goes back and you have to get yourself a cheap runaround," which is just a good play on the strips there. Very good. I like that one. Again, getting back to the ASM discussion from Bart Geordie. I put the tweet out. Thoughts on ASM's comments, and UFC fans, those who played alongside me, know what it comes to quality. I've no need to be jealous of Marnie. That was the quote, if you remember, and he was a little dig at these fellow players. But this one was obviously a well-altered photo of Chris Wood. It just says, maybe if you just crossed the fucking thing instead of dancing, I'd get more goals, mate, which I thought was pretty good as well. Thank you for that. This one was good from Neil Davison. Sir Bobby getting a clean and Alan Shearer getting moved to his rightful place outside the Gallagher. We now have owners and people who care. Well said, mate. Well said. And yeah, looking forward to seeing those statues side by side. This one again from 100% Mads. He says, one for tweet of the week. Stephanie King posted this: "When it's your hen, but you work in marketing for Greggs." And there she is in a big Greggs bag, which was very good. And this one, no, that one, sorry. Jace, thank you for this. When you order Dan Burn and Ryan Fraser from Wish. Very good. Keep them coming in. We do like to see them. We will also scour the internet and Twitter in particular for anything. But if you see something on Instagram as well or on Facebook, please feel free to send them over. But that is Tweet of the Week. Okay, Mr. Anderson just says, hello to the Amigos. Finally caught live. Great to watch. He says, I watch the show religiously, but I would like to ask if any of the gentlemen on the show know or have got an idea on how much exactly this window Newcastle are going to spend. How are the lads? So, you know, it's an impossible question to answer, lads, but, you know, he likes the show, he watches it, so we will answer as best we can. Steve, what do you think? Newcastle, would you hazard a guess? If you had to guess, what would you say Newcastle will spend this summer?
It's a great question, and it's one of those that you'll never ever. You know what? If they spent another 120 million, I wouldn't be surprised. If they went out and bought 2 or 3 players, I think a lot of it also depends on who leaves, what gaps are left, and whether they bring anything in. Not that we've got that much of value to sell, you know what I mean? I mean, we're talking about we want to bring the crown jewels in, and we're throwing out the old crockery, aren't we? So I don't think there's much to balance one against the other. But you know what? I could see them going for another 120 million during this window. 3 top-class players. Mitch and I have spoken, and Stu, and made some flippant remarks and some cryptic little digs on Twitter this afternoon about players that we think would be available. We're hearing some really interesting things as well about names that are being mentioned around the place. And the names we're hearing, some of them are £75 million players, you know. And so I'm thinking, dear me, if we got 2 of them, that would be £150 million then, you know. You just don't know with Newcastle United. But what we do know is that if a player becomes available and it's a player that Eddie Howe wants, they'll go for it. I don't think they'll be held back by the asking price. You know, I think if they think, and Howe thinks, that it's somebody that he wants. So if it's a James Ward-Prowse for 50 or 60 million, they'll go for it. You know, if they think there's an opportunity there, if agents are touting them around, and the same goes for some of the other players that we're being linked to, whether it's Paqueta from overseas, whether it's Henderson, the goalkeeper. You know, if Howe wants them and they're on his list, we'll go for them. So hey, if it is 150 million, don't be surprised.
Keith, conservative estimate?
150 to 160 million.
Okay. And Mitch?
Well, again, I think they'll be taking a very fluid approach to this window. I think they'll have some astute frees lined up, and they'll be wanting to make progressive signings that improve the squad the way they did in January, and they don't come cheap. But I also think if they set a budget of X, but a player suddenly becomes available towards the end of the window, they will break the budget to secure that player now instead of the next window. I think they'll have learned some interesting lessons from January as well. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them spend anything from 100 to 200 million, depending on who's available. And I think they will have this sort of fluid and dynamic approach to the signings that won't be restricted necessarily, because I think we'll get not an insignificant amount of income from players going out, and we don't know what the new sponsorship arrangements are and how they balance and how everything balances from there. I personally think that's why the shirts have been leaked without the sponsor on the front, because I still think they're waiting for sign-off on certain things. And so it wouldn't surprise me to see the amounts that both Steve and Keith talk about, and maybe even more if the right player becomes available at the right time. I don't think they'll have a limit on that per se, but that might then impact on the next window, for example. So I think I think there is a lot more longer-term planning going into this than people realise.
Okay, it's an interesting question. I'm going to go with the same kind of estimate as Keith. I think 150 million. I can see people saying 90 million, 100 million, maybe a bit more. But, again, it'll be who Eddie Howe wants and whether it's achievable. And we've got competition. We're not at that level yet at Man City, etc. And, we don't offer anything in the Champions League way of football or any European football. So we have to get to that level before we can be in that kind of ballpark. But we've got money to spend. I think they'll be sensible. That most interesting thing for me is who goes. That really is going to be the interesting comment, the interesting part of the pre-season, and how quickly they go and how quickly we do business. Alan Little says, Steve, what do the lads think regarding the season ticket announcement on the 19th? Do you think that there will be, I wonder if that's a typo, he says 10,000 spare season tickets going on sale to the general public? I've got to be honest, Alan, not 10,000. I think if there was any left, it may be 1,000, but 10,000, definitely not.
Yeah, I think what Alan's getting there is there's what 38,000 season ticket holders currently, and I think he's thinking, well, will they push and make 10,000 new season tickets available? I think that's probably more what he's looking at, as opposed to 10,000 people not taking it up. And I think I'm not too sure what the rules are in terms of how many you have to keep back, or whether you're allowed to just go and flog everything up as a season ticket. I don't know whether you have to. Obviously, you have to leave so many for away fans. There's got to be an allocation of whatever it is, 10% of your ground. You've got to be allocated, and then you've got the added issue of cup tickets and such like. But I don't know whether you're limited. You used to be. I'm sure that at one point there was a rule came in said you were limited. You had to have so many percentage tickets made available for the I'll call them the general public, just to differentiate between that and season ticket holders, if you like. So people who can buy, on a match-to-match basis, as opposed to having to stump up a season ticket. But I may be wrong. But I just had this feeling that there was an upper level that you can't go beyond. So
David Cook says 10,000 on the waiting list, as it was when I got mine in the late 90s when the ground expanded. That's what he's saying.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, season tickets, Keith, they're going to be at a premium, aren't they? If there's any left.
But are they not referring to the tickets that were given out to season ticket holders that Ashley did to stop the ground being empty, where he gave people an option to take up the seats next year and take a second ticket? I mean, that figures in excess of 10,000. So so them tickets can't be sold.
Yeah, I mean, obviously people have got till the 19th to renew. The only tickets that I can see being available are going to be, those that are returned, and
No. But you can't renew the ticket you were given next to you. The cheaper ticket.
No.
So
But
they've got to come for sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not the season before though, Keith. It wasn't this season. That was the season before. So they became available, and then they went back into the pot, and then people bought them. Not necessarily the people who had them, but I think they then got snapped up. And certainly once the season started, it was impossible to buy a season ticket, wasn't it? You couldn't just in October you couldn't go in and buy a season ticket. Then you go on the website and it just wasn't there. There wasn't the option to buy tickets.
A lot of them tickets you couldn't buy were still for sale on a match per match basis, like thousands.
Yeah, but I think that Ashley just played a fast one because it was for half a season, wasn't it? And he just wanted to bring the money in for himself, get the money, and play hard and fast. But
so, how many tickets do you think got sold between Ashley starting this season himself and those tickets that didn't get sold? Right? How many season tickets do you think got sold at the start of this season?
I haven't a clue. Are you thinking that we're back down to 28,000 or something like that, or 30?
Just over 30. I was told just over 30,000. There must be at least 10,000 season tickets unsold that people can't renew, because when people phoned up, come October when the ticket went through, or even when they expected or hoped it was going to go through, sort of like September time, October, then November, December, you couldn't buy them. There's at least 10,000 not sold, at least.
But when that option came to take on a second ticket, were you when that expired, were you given the option of being able to buy that ticket?
I don't think you were.
Right, I can't remember.
No, I genuinely can't remember that. I mean, it's
I think there was the number I was told was just over 30,000, and I'm not talking 33, 34. I was told just over 30. So if that has, and let's suppose they're going to put up for sale 52,000 to allow away fans, then you're talking nearer 20 than 10. But there's definitely at least 10,000 season tickets not being renewed or sold. That's been sold match to match. Yeah.
Look, Mitch, it's one of those things, and we're always going to have these kind of things going on with season tickets. And, I think there was a bit of murkiness in the water when Mike Ashley had the club, to be quite precise.
It's going to go back to what it was like when there was 10,000 on the waiting list, I think. And I think Steve's right. I think there is a percentage you've got to keep for general sale. And I think we were actually partly responsible for that because of the season ticket situation we had under Keegan. I seem to remember. But because I think there was another club, I forget who was the second one, where again outside of season tickets were such a premium that general fans couldn't get them on general sale. Might have been Liverpool, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Either way, I think there is. I think Keith's right. I think there's a significant amount of unsold season tickets that couldn't be renewed at a certain point, and that's what will be pushed out through this. When they become available online, it'll be interesting to see how many it actually is, and then we'll have an idea what it's going to be like game to game, and it's probably going to be like it was at certain times under Keegan, where tickets are like rock and horse shite, and they go for a premium.
Yeah, we're going to watch it. It's going to be interesting to watch, and again, lots of things to talk about over the summer. Don't forget, we'll have a couple of new shows. We're going to be doing a show with George Mitchell and Neil's dad, looking back at seasons gone by. Supermac and Gibbo over the summer.
Fucking hell, man!
I'm going to be looking at Keith. Keith, go. Well, we apologise for the foul language as Keith drops his phone. But we are going to be doing Superman and Gibbo looking back at the seasons that Malcolm played for Newcastle United, which should be fascinating, looking back at their memories. We're going to be doing a transfer show as well, looking at the potential ins and outs, and doing a couple of other shows as well. The Three Amigos, though, will remain as it is on a Friday for your weekly catch-up, which should be good. And that outburst from Keith caused a lot of laughter in the chat. And Jody Tubelay says Keith's away dogging again. Vince says Keith is having cameraman issues. And that is, Brian says, calm down. New skillful juggling, says David Cook. Tom's just laughing at you. That's cool.
Is it an empty car park and somebody's parked right in front of him? You can guarantee there's always somebody blocks you in, even though you're in an empty car
Guarantee
park.
there's not like
someone knocking on the door. It's classic. Someone ringing the bell. I've heard that advert, Tim. Okay, got about 40 minutes left. Keep getting your points in. Plenty to talk about as we see out this show. But as always, we'd like to have a little laugh on the show, and to start us off with that is our resident comedian, Elliot Slesser. Okay, Elliot's joke of the week is this. I was buying my wife some underwear. I asked the shop assistant, are these knickers satin? No, she said, they're brand new. I like that one. Brilliant stuff, Elliot. Keep them coming, mate. Keep them coming. There's millions and millions of them out there, and it's always nice to have a laugh on a Friday night with my mates. So keep them coming. Thanks very much for that. Okay, we're going to take a few more questions before we start looking ahead, of course, to the game of the weekend. And this is something that I missed today. I have been out and about and been quite busy. But Tom Dixon says that Marjad Al-Shura has today been appointed as a director of Newcastle United. What's your thoughts on this, lads? Is this right, lads? I've missed this today.
Yep. Yes.
Okay, so what's that mean then, Steve? What does that mean?
But it's been confirmed at Company's House, basically. He's been named as a director. I think this cropped up back in January, where there was notification given that he was going to join the board of the club. But I think at the time there was a lot of discussion about the Premier League saying that they wanted a vet. If you remember, people involved in the football club wanted to know that there was nobody from X, Y, and Z, and that were pulling a fast one here and there. And whether or not that's been the delay of the last 4 months, but his name was certainly in the frame then. The big question is, obviously, he's this gentleman is the head of Saudi Golf. He's the CEO of Saudi Golf. So I suppose a lot of people will now be starting to join some of Liam Kennedy's dots and wondering whether he's also going to be the CEO of Newcastle United. So we'll move from one conversation to another conversation, and now that we've got a director, now we're going to be talking about what roles he's going to have. So this is where it's heading, isn't it? But it's just a strengthening of the board. We've ran for 14 years with one man running the football club, and lots of shadow people in the dark and hidden in the corridors, sticking their head in and out now and again. But basically, Mike Ashley deciding every move that the club has taken. Now we're going to have a proper board of directors. We're going to have professional people, people with international kudos that can come along and can bring us the expertise that we need and fill the gaps that need to be filled and take up the roles that we've got that will take the football club to the next level. So what I would say is congratulations, welcome to Newcastle. We've seen him at the match on a number of occasions, and it just means we're going to see him an awful lot more.
Yeah, lucky that it's an appointment which we also come in, and I think there'll be a few more, won't there, over the next couple of months as well.
I hope there is. I hope they bring the best people they've got, and if a guy's going to front up a project the size of Saudi Golf, I mean,
that is enormous. That project, and when it's finished, it's going to rattle the European tour. It's going to hit other tours around the world. And if he's big enough to front that up, and he's on our board, I say bring it on. It's the kind of people we've wanted, the kind of execs we need, who's got influence not just at the football club, but they'll have great influence with sponsors and with people in sport to bring the kind of revenues this club needs. And I can't wait for the green shirt and the green and white shirt and the white and green shirt, but I also can't wait for the various sponsors that's going to come. I hope Aramco's splattered across everywhere. I mean, we've had all these years of Sports Direct, and we've had all these years of not getting sponsors. We haven't had, do you tell me that Wonga was a favourite of yours? To wear a shirt with Wonga on was embarrassing, but we wore it because it was our football strip. So whoever the Saudis bring in and whoever this management team, the Rubens, Amanda and Murdad bring in, bring it on, because we'll get behind you, because all I want to see is progress.
Yeah, that's all I want to see, Mitch. I'm sure that's the same with you.
He's a very, very astute appointment. Just to give you a bit of background on him, he was a professional footballer himself with Al Nassr in Saudi. Then after he did his business degrees in the US, he came back and was on the board of Al Nassr in Saudi for 7 years. He's headed up numerous projects in sport. He's a sport advisor to PIF, as well as being the head of Saudi Golf. He advises on investment and inclusivity in sport to PIF in their investments. This guy knows what he's doing. He's close to the chairman, His Excellency Yasser Rumayyan. So again, there's a personal relationship, a strong personal relationship there with the chairman of the club and somebody who's already deeply invested in the club. And you're bringing somebody with sports business acumen to the table who's very astute and well respected in the region. And I think these are the kind of key decisions and key appointments that we need to make to build that network of support across the region, and to join again some more Liam Kennedy's dots with terms of like sponsorship and more. Also, as somebody who can probably reasonably sit down with the Premier League and say, right, we've got this sponsorship deal, this is how it is not a third party connection, and this is why it's a fair value because of X, Y, and Z. And I think these are the kind of appointments that are going to be superb when it comes to having, because we know all of our deals, like we said the last 2 weeks, going to be taken apart by a nit comb, not alone a fine tooth comb, just to find any little hick where they can turn around and kick our ass, because that's what they've done. They've pulled the drawbridge up for the Big Six while they've milked it for years, and it allowed them to sign deals like Man City did with Mazda earlier this season, where their chairman is the chairman of Mazda. I mean, dear me, how linked could you get? And so these things are important now going forward for us, because we've got to... Saudi will play it by the rules, and they'll do it proudly with their chests puffed out, and they'll not find back doors, ways around the system. They'll walk through the front door and sit down at the table, thank you very much, and take it with pride. And that's the way they'll do everything. And you need astute people like him on the board to do that.
And how good will it be, Mitch? How good will it be to have sponsors that are coming along and wanting to support the football club? Unlike as happened in the past, where we had sponsors of Newcastle United that wouldn't even allow the women's team to wear their sponsorship on the shirt. And we're not talking about Wonga either. We're talking about a little bit before Wonga. But there was an organisation up in Gosforth that bought another sponsor of ours out, and they wouldn't even allow the girls to wear their logo on the shirt. So let's hope that we're moving forward. Let's hope we're moving forward. And you mentioned the word diversity. Let's hope we're moving forward in the correct way, and that we're going to see the football club right across the under-18s, the academy, the under-23s, the women's team, and the first team getting the support that they need.
Yeah, is Keith at the Barley Moor in the Afvida's Inn Pet Pub?
I was in a hotel, right, in Ipswich. And there was a load of old diggers sat down to have a meal, and I was respectful. And they sat there, and I put this on, and I had my laptop, and then I looked at this. I was looking at someone on Twitter, and I started laughing. But then somebody else sent something. I started laughing again, and they all looked over and they said, "Will you? Can you be quiet? Because we're having a bit of a presentation." And I thought, holy shit! When they put looky-likeys on, they're going to string us up. So then what I did was I brought my phone out of the car, and everyone spotted this thing. Keith's trying to keep his phone still. I've got it rested on the steering wheel. I'm sat here. It's the only place down here that I think I can act normal and have a bit of a belly laugh. But I've seen one of the pictures that was sent me this week, and I know I'll not be able to contain myself. So these women asked as if I would be a little bit quieter, and that was before the show started. So that's why I'm sitting in my car in the car park.
Okay, well, just get through one more topic of conversation. We'll do this one quite quickly. If Jesus was a Raj, he says, Steve, I'm from Wallsend, but currently living in Northern Ireland. Should we give Elliot Anderson a chance next season or buy somebody for that role? Steve, Elliot Anderson's had a fantastic season on loan. Should we give him a chance, or do you think he'll end up out on loan again?
Give him a chance. Why not? Why not? With that, the Manchester City send Phil Foden out on loan? No, they protected them. They worked them. They got him working with the top stars at the football club, and they realised that they had a special player. Perhaps Elliot Anderson could be our Phil Foden, and perhaps play him with top-class footballers, make him even better. Yes, he's had a fantastic season out on loan. That game at the weekend, Bristol Rovers, the 7-0, and him getting the final goal and then being carried around the rest of Bristol all night. Absolutely brilliant for the lad. And that's what it's all about. But, hey, yeah, give him a shot. You know, I don't think he would even have to be named as part of 25, would he? He's young enough, so he might as well be learning his craft with the quality in the first team. And I tell you what, the likes of a Trippier, likes of a Wood, the likes of Matt Target and Bruno, and being amongst those players would only make him an even better footballer. And I think he's got the potential to be an absolute world beater, and he could be our Phil Foden. So yes.
Keith?
I think you've got to. I think Eddie Howe's already said that he's going to use him in close season. He's going to have a look at him and get feedback. And I think if he doesn't, I mean, the soft side of us would like to see him go back to Bristol Rovers and play in League One and progress with them, because they've treated him properly, and so many good players go out on loan and they never get the chance to. They don't get enough game time. But Joey Barton's been good to his word, and when you saw their fans doing a conga singing Geordie Maradona, I mean, that was incredible. And if you look at the lad's record, he hasn't just gone down there; he's set the world alight. So he has got something. And it doesn't matter whether you play in Northern League, or you're playing Sunderland's league, or you're playing Premier League. You've still got to play football, and you've still got to surpass defenders, and you've still got to cross balls, and you've still got to hit the ball between them two sticks. I think he's a cracking player. I think you have to take him on pre-season. I think you have to give him his head. You have to see what happens when the likes of Bruno and them slip him through, whether he finishes it off at that level. But it's a no-brainer, isn't it? That you take him, you nurture him, and for me, the natural progression is to put him in the Championship side. But I think he'd do better staying at Newcastle, and I think he will have a really good chance of making it.
Mitch?
I think both the lads make good arguments. You can see arguments for keeping him, letting him develop with our squad with better players. You can see arguments because he was treated so well at Bristol Rovers and described as a League Two cheat code by journalists down there as well. You know, I mean, the guys obviously played out of his skin and excelled. I think, what was it? They had something like 35 chances in that game where they won 7-0, and he was involved in 19 of them. You know, yeah, exactly. League One, League Two level rather. I mean, that's still something exceptional to do. And so, and Steve's right, and he says Man City weren't frightened to unleash Phil Foden, but they looked after him and they did it right. Neither was somebody like Alex Ferguson. Was he frightened to unleash Beckham, Giggs, Butt, Scholes? What did he do with them? They had one season out on loan somewhere, and then they were brought into the first team. Not too different with Elliot Anderson, and it would be a nice little feather in the cap for the academy structure and a fillip for the academy structure, whilst everything's being revamped and they're looking at rebuilding everything over the summer. To have somebody come through into the first team squad like that, like a breath of fresh air. And he sounds like he is an exceptional talent. And I'm tired of seeing exceptional talent disappear into the ether at Newcastle United. It would be nice to see it praised and built up and showcased. Yeah. So I think if Eddie Howe sees enough of them in when they return pre-season, and I think the benefit is going to be having them around our first team squad and playing with much better players, then so be it. Let's bring it on.
And I agree with Dunos. He goes, if they're good enough, they're old enough. 100%.
Absolutely.
I made the point with Supermac the other night. Great point. Exactly. Michael Owen, Robbie Fowler, Wayne Rooney, Alan Shearer, all of those kind of players, started 16, 17-year-old in the Premier League and they never look back. So, from my point of view, I think that is definitely the case. Okay, got about 20 minutes. We've got a couple of bids now on the T-shirt on Twitter, so thanks for that. The money in the Just Given page, I'll give you an update on that, is now up to a staggering £446. Thank you very much for that. And the current amount that I've taken so far on the YouTube chat, I will tell you now, is £191.43. So thank you again for your donations. If you want to make a quick donation, the money is all going to St. Bede's Palliative Care Unit at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital there. Help my mum through her final hours on Saturday morning. So if you hit the $sign in the chat on YouTube, you can make a donation and I will pass 100% of that donation on to the St. Bede's Palliative Care Unit. If you want to go to the Just Given page, once again, I will post the link in the chat, but it is pinned now to the top of the chat and you will be able to click on it. But I'll post it again now. There we go. If you want to click on that, it'd be nice to get to £500 before the end of the show. My brother set a conservative target at £200 and we've hit £446, and that's thanks to you guys. So thank you very much for your donations tonight. Okay, it's time for your favourite part of the show, guys and girls. His heads are in his hands, and here we go. Eyes down, and it's from Luke first up. He says, Haaland's come a long way since he played Todd in Breaking Bad. Very good. Very, very good. I like that one, mate. Very good. Tom Dixon in with a few today, as usual. David Seaman and the Pringles man. Excellent, that, Tom. I did like that one. This one, a smiling dog in human clothes and a kettle. Very, very, very good. And this one, David Gould and Alan Sugar. Excellent. Yeah. Excellent, mate. Really good. Sometimes I do miss out on who sends these. Sometimes when they come on Instagram. But this is Steve Hasty and Keith Patterson with hair.
Which one's which?
That's you on the left, Steve.
Hold on. I'm the good-looking one on the right.
Well, questionable.
100% Mags. Hi, guys. Another lookalike. Deck and King Eddie. Got a bit of stick for that one, 100% Mags, I noticed.
I did. I thought it was quite good.
I thought it was all right. No, it's not the best, but it was okay. And he put this one up. Josh Harnett and a young Supermac, which was very good.
All right.
I did like that, mate. I did like that. And this one from Little Punty, Elaine, Liverpool Narcos, Jurgen Klopp. Some poor guy who deals drugs in Liverpool and a guy who wins trophies. And Albert put this one up. Jurgen, post up. No wonder he's smiling. Albert, I love it when you get up when he's on. Albert's on fire. There's been a bit of banter between Mark Byers and Stu Penman this week. So Mark Byers and Michael Barrymore, which was I'm not sure what started all of this. Then this got put up by Sam Chipperfield. Which is good. We've got this one from me and Hull, Steve Hasty and Noddy Oldham. We've had that done before. It's just a different photo and a different way of expressing it. Penman's been getting it in the neck, as you can see, from Mark Byers.
This is what started it.
Back of some bloke's head and Stu Penman. Yeah, very good. Then this one from Stu Penman, Mark Byers and Johnny Vegas. Tit for tat all week. I hope it doesn't carry on. This one was from Rich, Jack Brannan from EastEnders, and Pulisic, which was a pretty good one, mate. And we're starting to get down to the business end. This one was from Colin Wilson, Albert Steptoe, and Jamie Vardy.
Yep.
I think it had been used, but I think in the very early days. This one from Lee. Rory getting married in another lifetime.
Wow.
What?
That's Rory McIlroy on the left, but look at the bride on the right.
That's unbelievable.
Don't look at the bridegroom. Look at the bride.
That's unbelievable.
Oh, my
Excellent. Thanks, Lee. That was a good one. No, I wasn't at Everton, Mark. He looks slightly older than me, mate, and a bit rougher. We've had that one. Into Albert's section now. And Albert says, quiz question for the lads. Name these tasty lookalikes. All right. So, lads, who is this? Colaccini. Fabrizio Colaccini. Easy, easy. I've seen those flowing locks. Right, who's this? Which Brazilian? Is that Brazilian? Is that Ronaldinho?
It's Steve Hasty.
It's Steve Hasty. I know, but is it Ronaldinho? This one's the Colombia, isn't it?
That's Valderrama.
Valderrama.
Valderrama. I like this quiz idea, Albert. Very good. Very good. Okay, gonna crack on. We've got a couple more to get through. This one was from Robbo. He says, have you seen the Stars front page today, boys? Is that Steve Hasty and Mitch's Smugglers? So it looks, looks like Steve was out for a walk in Mitch's Smugglers. This one, I don't know who sent this one, but that's pretty good. Yeah. Ivan Toney and Wilfred Zaha. And we did have obviously a submission from Joe Walker. He just says, put this up because Thanks, Joe. He's not on tonight either, but he just said that. Sam Chipperfield says, hang on, lads, you sure this was Donald Trump? Thought it was Steve. And then we had this one. This one was just on the side of a bus, apparently. He says, it looks like the paintings on the size of a waltzer. That was chucked into the lookalike section. Then we had this from Billy B. He says, I love the Friday show and this man getting ripped. Goldie Tonian modelling the t-shirt. There's some random logo white hair. This one was from Sam. He says, Steve Hasty needs some Botox, I think, lads. Albert says Hasty was driving buses last week. This week he's the inspector. I hate you, Patterson. And final submission from Albert this week was that. He says he's either getting sick of people forecasting the score against City. Okay. The top two this week are this. Here we go. And that's Steve and the Adams family from Albert. That's number 2. But the winner of this week's lookalike is Albert. Looks like Hasty's changed his alliance, Steve Rafe. In the Liverpool end, Steve.
I'm gonna get in touch with the DWP and get Albert a job.
Oh, God.
Thanks. Keep them coming. We'll have a laugh next week. 2 lookalikes. Okay, as always, we look ahead to Newcastle United's final home game of the season against Arsenal. Of course, it is at St James's Park, and it is an 8 o'clock kickoff. It is live on Sky, and big plans ahead for War Flags. Asking everyone to get in 10 minutes before the game. It's going to be the biggest ever display that they have done. They've also said, please leave the normal flags under your seats at the start and get them out at the end. So we're going for a doubler on Monday, but it is at home. The visiting side have taken their full allocation of 3,000 tickets, so it means it's going to be a full house in front of the Sky Sports cameras. And as for Newcastle, Kieran Trippier and Callum Wilson both returned from injury, and Man City so they should both be available. Shelby and Willock will miss the remainder of the season due to injury, while the fitness of Fabian Shaw is yet to be confirmed, and Ryan Fraser has returned to training, but he's doubtful for the game. Fernandez is reportedly unfit. No real updates on the Arsenal team as yet. Thomas Partey and Kieran Tierney both miss out due to injury, though, while Ben White is still nursing a hamstring problem. And referee is Darren England. VAR, which is often switched off, is Jared Gillette. As always, we have our usual contributions from our two residents. First up, Toon Stato.
Hello amigos, last home game of a memorable season. Newcastle became the first club in the top flight to survive relegation after not winning any of their first 14 games. I think everybody knows that. And we are still involved in deciding the final Champions League place and the relegation place in the last week of the season. Last chance also for our two top goal scorers of the season, Callum Wilson and Alan Saint-Maximin, to add to their tallies. Wilson has 6 goals so far this season, 5 of them at St. James's Park, while Saint-Maximin has 5 goals, all of them at St. James's Park. And last time Wilson scored was on the 4th of December. Last time Saint-Maximin scored was on the 15th of January. So let's see if they manage to add to their home tallies on Monday. Eddie Howe has already faced top 5 7 times this season, and Newcastle have lost all of the games, with the goal difference being 21 conceded, so exactly 3 per game, and only 2 scored. So also a last chance to improve on these stats. Against Arsenal, Newcastle have only 1 win in their last 20 games. Fortunately for me, I was there at the stadium in April 2018, when under Rafa we beat them 2-1 with goals by Ayoze Perez and Matt Ritchie. In the other 19 games, there's only 1 draw and 18 defeats, including 8 defeats in a row in all competitions. To add to this, Newcastle hasn't scored against Arsenal in the last 7 games, 6 in the Premier League and 1 in the FA Cup, also last season. In these 7 games, Newcastle have conceded 16, 14 in the league and 2 in the FA Cup, and as I said, scored nothing against them. Now Arsenal defense will be very depleted, so I expect for sure Newcastle to score goals in the game. The last goal scorer for Newcastle against Arsenal, since I mentioned that we haven't scored for quite a few games, was Kieran Quark back in September 2018 in a game that we also lost. So let's see who'll be on the score sheet. No matter what happens, it's been a great season and a great turnaround by the lads and Eddie Howe. Good luck to all.
Yes, good luck indeed. Thanks, Andre, for your contribution. Look forward to getting your video for the Burnley game before the end of the season. Now over to Toon Tipster.
Evening everyone, Toon Tipster here. Really sorry I can't make it on live tonight. I've had more late tackles today than a Leeds player with an early holiday booked. In a week where we were made safer than Patterson's wallet in the Strawberry, I was delighted to see lots of activity at the ground, resulting in our greatest ever player returning to his rightful spot. I know his loan hasn't been that great, but it's really good to have Jeff Hendrick back. So, we didn't manage to affect the championship race other than giving City a 5-goal advantage. However, we can still affect the magnificent race for the Champions League. Newcastle are 16-5 on Monday. The draw is 13-5. And Arsenal are favourites at 17-20. 1-0 Newcastle, 14-1. Arsenal are 8-1. 2-0 Newcastle, 22-1. Arsenal 9-1. 2-1 Newcastle, 14-1. Arsenal 17-2. If you think it'll be closer, ones each is 13-2. and a 2s each goal fest is 14-1. Lacazette and the in-form Eddie Nketiah lead the anytime goal scoring list, followed by Callum Wilson for us at 2-1, and it's really great to see him back. And actually, with a bit of sharpness, we'd have scored a couple against Manchester City. Good luck, Cal. Speaking of Callum Wilson, leads us nicely onto the food bank. As it's our last home game, I'll be adding 200 quid into Bill's bucket before the game, courtesy of the Toon Tipster section of NUFC Matters. And then I'll be adding to the virtual bucket afterwards if ASM can score at 18-5 or my absolute hero Joe Linton at 9-2. In terms of the Toon Tickle, Chelsea to win the cup at 5-2. Lukaku's in sparkling form. 625-1, which is more my cup of tea, for all home wins in the Premier League on Sunday. But more nearer to planet Earth, all of Sunday's games to have over 1.5 goals in them at 4-1. Gamble safely, guys. Please don't chase your losses. And for this week, massive, massive love and condolences to the Wraith family at this extremely sad time. We're all thinking of you, Stevie. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Toon Tipster. And again, as he says, bet safely. Fantastic from both the lads. Honestly, great to have such great people on this show. And Andre and Joe, part of the NUFC Matters family, and Chris and Pete as well. I mean, I couldn't have done a show Monday, guys, and the show that they did, and the tributes that came in, and what they had to say as well. Thank you very much. I've felt the love, and it's been fantastic. We felt the love on the Just Giving page. We are £4 away from hitting 500 quid. So if somebody can donate 4 quid, 5 quid onto that Just Giving page, we'll have hit £500 tonight. So thank you very much for that. Okay, lads, we're going to finish off on here with a prediction from you guys, what you see coming on Monday. So Steve, we'll start with you. Flip-flops are on, Newcastle safe. Big game for Arsenal after getting beaten the North London derby. How do you see this going?
You know what? You're saying the flip-flops are off, or the flip-flops are on. But you know what? We're playing in front of 52,000 on Monday night, and I think the Newcastle players will want to go out with a bang. I think they'll certainly be up for the game, and I think they'll want to have a say in, as Toon Tipster rightly says, the Champions League. So I think it's going to be a really, really good game. The atmosphere once again should be first class, and hats off to the lads and lasses at War Flags, who have been absolutely brilliant since the turn of the year. In terms of Newcastle, as I say, I think they'll go for it. I'd be interested to see whether or not Wilson starts and Trippier, both coming on Sunday. A game that I missed, I didn't get to see until match of the day. I knew we were getting beat 2-0, and so you can imagine my face when I flicked on the phone and found out it was 5. It wasn't just me who I was with at the time. The rest of the lads were exactly the same. Dear me, where we're heading. But it was just one of those games, wasn't it? When you saw it on Match of the Day and you thought, well, on another day. But this Arsenal team, they have an Achilles heel, don't they, at the moment? The first Achilles heel they have is they cannot keep 11 players on the pitch. And the second Achilles heel seems to be when they play badly, they do play badly. I'm going for a 2-0 win to Newcastle. I think we're certainly going to be up for it, and I think that the players and Eddie will want to reward the fans for everything that's happened this season. So 2-0 win, Newcastle United. Bring it on.
Keith?
Never been more confident that this isn't sandals on end of the season game. I think there's a massive, massive incentive for Newcastle to win this game, to show the owners before they invest in the squad that we are at the level. We're not at Liverpool, Man City level. We can say that, and we showed it. But I think we are on the fringe. I still think Tottenham, Liverpool, Tottenham, Arsenal, those, and Chelsea are ahead of us. But I think the players are playing for contracts. I think there's a lot of people out there want to stamp their game and say, you don't need to buy anybody else for this position because I'm going to do it. The odds I've seen is 7-2 for Newcastle, and I think it's massive money, and I think it's well worth a bet. And I disagree with Joe. Don't back safely, get your house on it, because I think Newcastle will go for the throats. And I think 3-1 on Monday. I really fancy Newcastle to win this game. I was talking to a couple of people. I don't think it's going to be a draw. I think Newcastle's going to win it. And I think the stadium will erupt. I think it'll be national spectacle. People are looking at the club. And everything we do is wrong in everybody else's eyes. But amongst our fans, everything we do is right. You know, about the people that matters us. And we think everything that's happening now is right. So I just want to say Newcastle go for them. And I want them to, you know, get Wilson on there, get him on at the start, and get a side out and just go and do them. Go and turn them over, because they've got Achilles heels. There's a lot of kids in that side. And I've got to say to you, Tottenham, they had no answers. I know we haven't got a Kane and we haven't got a Son, but they had no answers. They looked a poor 3-0 down to them, and you could say it's because that lad got sent off, but that he epitomised how much they were getting dragged about and pulled about. They're not a great side. At home with that crowd, Newcastle can do it. 3-1.
Okay, Mitch, we'll get your prediction and then you can roll the dice. So go and give us your thoughts on your prediction first.
My thoughts are Arsenal are coming here and they're not the same wounded animal that Man City were. Far from it. Exactly. And there's a very good chance they could be starting the game without a recognised centre-back in their starting 11 with injuries and suspensions. And so there's a chance to exploit something there. And Keith's right about the age of the squad. They're probably a year or two ahead of where they thought they would be with the squad that they've got at the minute. And Steve's right in saying is when they have a stinker, they really do have a stinker, and Arteta whinges and moans about it. So here's an opportunity to have him whinging on the touchline again. I think we've got an opportunity in front of a packed house to really get stuck into a side who are short at the back. And I wouldn't want to be coming to Newcastle United on a Monday night without a recognised centre-back, potentially facing a fit Callum Wilson. And so I think I'd love to see the lads just go for it and actually go for the jugular, be ruthless.
Yeah.
Just be ruthless. And I think we'll win it. I think there'll be goals in it, and I think we'll win it by the odd goal in 3-2.
Okay, what does the lucky dice say?
Rice, the dice says, agrees with Steve, 2-0.
Oh,
great stuff. Great stuff. Okay, well, it's very positive. It's a positive end to what has been a very positive show. Julie, as promised. Troll of the Week, part 2. A lot of bold men at the gig at Steve Wraith strikes again, the bold Tory freak. I've got Jip card. I've got no idea which gig it was.
You're going to be a millionaire by the end of this year, aren't you?
I am. I searched his profile as well, and I couldn't find what gig he was going on about. But never mind. Thanks for that. There you go, Julie. I did promise you another Troll of the Week, and you've had the music 4 times tonight. Thank you to Carter Slim on Twitter. You are the winner of the T-shirt. We had a couple of bids and £35 winging its way to the food bank from Carter Slim on Twitter. And it has to be an extra large T-shirt, John and Steve. So make sure that the T-shirt is extra large that you send to him. And we will have another one going up this week. So thanks for that. And quick check on the Just Given page tells me, as I refresh it, we have got £521 donated to the St Bede's Palliative Care Unit. So thank you very much, everybody. That link, of course, will continue. And I will donate the money as well off the live YouTube chat straight away. So that will probably take it up to somewhere around the 700 mark. So that's absolutely fantastic, guys and girls. Thank you so much for your generosity and your support in, what, as I say, has been a bit of a tough week. I am back tomorrow morning, though, at 11 a.m. The Holly and Steve show will be there 11 o'clock in the morning. And we also have Steve Hasty, who has to give us the winner of the competition. Well done, lads. Kept us on the ball. Give us who was the winner of the Alan Shearer sign box, Steve?
The winner of the Alan Shearer box was Kirk99.
Kirk99. Okay, we'll leave John. We'll leave John to sort that out. Kirk99. Well done. We will have a new quiz next week.
An email to nufcmatters.com to John out there, or send us a message, and we'll sort that out. Brilliant.
Yeah, great stuff. Must have been a bad manners gig, says Gary Milligan, with all the bald heads. Definitely wasn't, because I put them on when they come up. Okay, I'll see you. I'll see everybody 11 o'clock in the morning with me and Holly, looking back at the last 7 days at Newcastle. Thanks to Keith, thanks to Steve, and thanks to Mitch. Been a great show. Take care. Have a great weekend, and enjoy the match on Monday. Take care, guys.
All the best.
Take care,
you guys.
Take care. See ya.